My brother doesn't. I mean.
Great. All right. Hi, everyone. It's Tejas, Jishnu, Ruchi, and Dinkar.
What are we saying about your brother, Ruchi?
And we're here at the Nerditorium live on Geek Fruit. I don't know why I even bother.
We're starting in media res. It's cool.
And today's episode, we're going to be talking about Loki
Better than
and
medium
Black
res.
Widow. We're going to be spoiling it. All right, let's start.
Okay,
How
so
are you guys?
can we just start with this? What is cooler, in media res or Deus Ex Machina?
They have so not even in the same category of things.
It's like apples
No,
and
but I mean they're
rotten
both
oranges.
Are we just
like
talking about,
Latin-inspired
like,
phrases
concepts?
that are
What does that have to do with
narrative
anything?
gimmicks, right? So I think there's a correlation there. They are in the same.
I think
I wouldn't say
Deus
it's a
Ex Machina
gimmick.
is a narrative gimmick, but in media res is just a structural thing.
It's a plot gimmick. Chalo, let's
not a
talk about-
gimmick.
yeah.
I wouldn't call it a gimmick. It's
Structural.
just a
How is it a
choice.
gimmick?
It's like every story has to start
rearranging
somewhere.
the
Some
story to start
not
in
all
media
stories
res
begin
is,
with-
that is a narrative gimmick, isn't it?
No. In media res is not. I don't think it's a gimmick or a anything. It's just like you have to pick an arbitrary beginning for your story, and if you think it through, you pick the right beginning that actually has substance, as opposed to something which is just like table setting, right? In media res needs to happen if, for whatever reason, that moment that you walk in on, that the audience comes in on, is pivotal for something that they don't understand, obviously, at the moment, but they will get later. Otherwise, everyone's like, he was born and then he lived his life until, something exciting happened that made him worth talking about.
Yeah, I'm not asking your advice on which one I should use. I'm just saying which sounds cooler. It's fine. I'll go with whatever you say, Shoki.
I'd say Machina because it has an X in it.
What do you call my mom?
Alright. So, well, in that case, at the end of this episode, something's gonna happen that's gonna fix everything. So, setting up a Deus Ex Machina for you there.
Right.
What about sex?
Okay, so hey guys, welcome to the Nerditorium. I think we should just finish this. Let's move to.
I believe we have some news.
Yes. Long-awaited album by Kanye West releasing sometime in the next few hours.
morning.
Ruchi, go.
What can I say that I haven't already said?
This is the first time we're
Donna
talking about Kanye West on
You
the
haven't
podcast.
said
so
much
I don't
as far as
know.
the good people are concerned. So
Yeah, so huge Kanye stan. Donda's coming out. Surprise, surprise. I didn't start this week thinking that I would be listening to Donda by the end of it.
You should start every week like that. Because
Yeah,
it's possible.
I mean, a surprise Kanye album. Anyway, so this is my as an active stan. This is my 6th or 7th rollout, and by this point, I'm really tired. So I really just want to listen to the album. Anyway, there's nothing else.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Anyway, there's some other news. We got some casting news. I just recently, not recently, like literally today, I read about a new Batgirl which has been cast, which is Leslie Grace, who's from a movie.
This is on the TV show in place of the person whose name I'm forgetting.
No, this is for
Rose.
a DC movie, so it's not the Batwoman show.
I see.
Oh.
Okay.
what movie?
And
What
this,
movie exactly?
so Leslie Grace is in The Heights, as you remember. If anyone has seen it, I'm not sure actually. But recently released Lin-Manuel Miranda musical. She's in it. There's a new Batgirl, and this is in universe with Matt Reeves' Batman. So this is
So
going to
this
be
is
Jeffrey
it's,
Wright's daughter, that Commissioner Gordon's daughter. So that's kind of cool. That's interesting, I guess.
But this is a solo Batgirl movie. is it?
Yeah. It's a solo
Okay,
film,
okay.
which I
It's
didn't.
the one that was supposed to be written by Joss Whedon, then now it's not, and
This was that?
Oh.
Really?
I mean, I suppose that was Untitled Batgirl project, and this is also Untitled Batgirl.
No,
project.
this
They're
is
probably
called DC HBO Max Batgirl. That's what it's
HBO.
called.
Oh, the project.
It's
She
just
has
called
Untitled.
it's called Batgirl. That's it.
But it's a show then.
No, it's just produced by HBO. HBO Max produces films also. I mean, like they're kind of producing
produced
some
that
films. I don't know if you
film
remember
that
Justice
I don't
League.
know
They
if
produced a
anybody's
Justice League
seen.
movie a few months ago.
I didn't see it.
Good. So
Good luck,
Batgirl is coming out. Otherwise, what else is the new Kevin Smith Masters of
Have
the
you
Universe?
seen In
is
the
out.
Heights stages?
Huh?
Have you seen In the Heights?
I have started In the Heights, and then my friend's HBO Max subscription ran out, and now it's just back up again. So I shall
see.
finish it.
So I'm not familiar with this person. So what does this mean? The fact that she's Batgirl.
Nothing except the
means
fact that
that
she's I mean she's the first, I guess, black Batgirl, so that's kind of cool.
I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, apart from that, I mean, she seems cool. She's good in the movie, so you know. And you know,
Alright.
She's a youth, right? She's
yeah,
young. We don't know much about her,
and
so
here's
good.
the
That's good. I
interesting
like
thing
that.
is
Yeah,
that
she's
the guy who made I think Deadwood or 6 Feet Under, one of them, can't remember, one of the HBO shows, is producing and writing the Gotham City GCPD television show, which is supposed to be on HBO. So I don't know whether this will tie into that. And that's again in the Matt Reeves Batman universe. So that so she might tie into that, and could be cool, could be interesting.
The
Jeffrey Wright might.
Batman universe
Mhm.
is the DC EU or whatever it's called now in general, right? Like that is the
Probably
primary
not, because
canon.
Flashpoint has Batfleck and
I don't know if is Batfleck confirmed.
yeah,
Oh,
because
okay.
there's like sightings on set.
Maybe it's just okay. Fair enough.
I've honestly like lost all track of.
No, so
The DC.
There's a Flashpoint movie.
the Flashpoint might be the
Batfleck is
Loki
in it.
of what the DC
Yeah.
EU's needs, I guess. So let's see. Not sure.
So you can't really
Missing the
start
bus.
with a Flashpoint.
It's
movie.
a fucking mess. Is all that it is.
You can't start anyway. Whatever.
I know, shouldn't start with Flashpoint, but here we are.
But we're not starting with a Flashpoint either, exactly, right? That's what's
Starting
making it
with the Snyder
confusing.
Cut?
Like, I don't know. Didn't we technically start with Man of Steel or whatever? Is that still a thing, or is this just all new?
No, Flashpoint is part of that. Is part of the Snyderverse. Let's put it that way. And I think they are gonna do some heavy retconning in that.
Yeah, calling something Snyderverse gives a pretty short shelf life.
So
Yeah.
I
Because he
posit to
can't
you
make
that
every
the
movie in the
biggest
Snyderverse.
issue
At
He's
least
gotta
delayed
let other
it
people
past
make
its
right now.
expiration date. So that's
I think DC is doing fine. They're an Oscar-winning superhero movie studio, so good for them. But
You mean Suicide Squad?
what?
You mean Suicide Squad? That's the one that I want.
yes.
Yes, not the Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad did, but also the Joker won. I mean, the
Yes, that's
only
true.
character that's won 2 Oscars, right? From the superhero world.
Yeah,
Quite
Batman
impressive.
got 0 Oscars. No,
Batman's
Batman has
got-
some Oscars.
What
Joker got
Oscars?
an Oscar for
Best sound
his
editing.
clothes and for his acting, right?
He got it for his clothes.
For
He's
his
got it
style
for
and
his
for his
acting
chops.
twice, both Heath Ledger
Oh,
and
right.
For
Joaquin
style and
Phoenix.
his style.
That's
Yes.
kind of nuts.
Yeah, that is
I don't
nuts.
even know if it's ever happened for people playing the same character, let alone a superhero movie.
Oh, dude, this is a good
character.
quiz question.
That's a
Where's
wicked
Kunal
question.
Rao?
That's a wicked
Where's
question right
Kunal
there.
Rao when we need him?
Probably like Hamlet or something.
Put
I
it-
feel
put
like
it
I
in the
might
bank.
have actually written this in one of the questions. So,
Put it in the bank. Yeah.
hey, if you're listening, don't participate in Wicked. Anyway,
If you know what Wicked
what I
is,
mean
thanks.
is, wait, let me get to my point. I put it to the table. Well, I'm actually asking. Do you feel like the problem is the momentum of the DC universe has just gotten so start-stop that we don't know what's going on? Like,
I mean,
it's like
I don't know if that's its
like
fault.
movie
Also, I mean,
three,
we would have
and
had
now it's not.
we would have had a lot more movies if the pandemic didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, a lot,
Perhaps.
like Batman was supposed to release this year, and you know that would have like made us. I think it's just generally it's
Multiple
also, and I'm
things.
sure
Like,
we'll
with
get to
the
this
pandemic,
also.
It's like Batfleck
it's a
losing
bunch of
interest.
things. Yeah. I mean, it's not a. It's not. I think it's not any one particular person's fault. It's and nor is
Like,
it
I'm
an
not
act of
blaming
God
it.
kind of
I'm
a
just
thing.
saying that maybe
Yeah, it's
that
just like-
is the like that's why it doesn't feel like as cohesive or like as
Yeah.
focused a universe. I mean, obviously, one, they're going on tangents on purpose
Mhm.
because they have no choice, but also it doesn't feel like they build to anything because they lose momentum almost immediately after they start.
Yeah.
It's like they put out a
Yep.
movie and then
Yep.
like 6 years later they're like, hey, that sequel we were doing to that movie, they're still doing it. And yeah, here we are.
This is okay. I'm sure you must have felt the same way. Like, at least, and this may be the segue into Black Widow. But like, even watching Black Widow, I probably felt like, wow, what a huge. I mean, it was already a huge gap of time that I think between when we probably should have had a Black Widow film. I don't know why they just didn't do this before.
Yeah.
The first Avengers, or even after the first Avengers, they could have had this movie. But even while I was watching it, while I enjoyed it, it was hard for me to get like out of my brain that and say that, okay, cool, this was already late and now it's like super late because of the pandemic. So but anyway, to that end, let's talk about Black Widow. Let's start with this film. Finally we got a Scarlett Johansson led Black Widow film. We all like Black Widow, right? Like she's cool, and I think her best turn is probably in Civil War. She's really really awesome in that. The whole double agent thing plays really well. Scarlett Johansson is great, and we finally have a movie, and it was on
Good.
Disney Plus Premier Access. So we all illegally downloaded and watched it. Did it make a big difference for you guys watching this at home as opposed to usually watching this in IMAX? Like we usually make the trip. So what did you guys think?
I'd say after getting used to seeing 18 hours give or take between WandaVision, Falcon, and Loki now, I thought that I wouldn't mind seeing this movie at home at all, but I did really miss the cinema experience, which wasn't the case with the TV shows. With the TV shows, especially the first one out of the gates, I was apprehensive. I was like, oh my god, this is going to feel weird, and it very quickly wasn't. And by good luck, the fact that it was a sitcom-based show, it made it so TV friendly, right? But this one, like, it just, I also just couldn't get out of my own head about that fact. Like the timeline thing, sure, I'm with you, and like it felt delayed and all that. And yeah, I wish that this happened before, etc., etc. But the nagging voice in my head was, man, I wish I was in the theater, even though it was great. I mean, I loved watching it, of course. But yeah, I did feel that little nagging feeling,
especially for Marvel movies, man.
Yeah,
but overall, you enjoyed the film.
Well, yeah, it was the shortest explanation I can give you is I did enjoy it, but if Scarlett Johansson wasn't as good an actor as she was, this movie would have tanked for me, because the stakes really weren't there beyond personal stakes of everything else that happens outside this movie, which happened outside this movie. So great, but not for this particular movie. Like, so I was just drawing on like things that I know will and things that have happened in other movies, but within the confines of this movie, everybody else around her, the lead cast around her, great, a lot of fun, very funny, enjoyed it a lot. But end of the day, I wouldn't really remember this movie if Scarlett Johansson wasn't as good as she is, just at being able to deliver. She can read the back of a cereal box and it will be compelling. So it was a good movie, solid. But
Richie, what did you think? Did you enjoy Black Widow?
I did enjoy Black Widow. I watched it the day it dropped. It's customary for me. I can't be like late for any of these things. Yeah, I watched it with, again, my brother and a friend of ours. Fun. Yeah.
Everyone's just like, yeah, it was great.
But it was fun. But the only thing that we really thought about was like, we've seen what they're capable of now. So if this movie had come out when it was actually slated to, which is like before all these shows, and they're obviously they're not a left turn, but they are like a deviation from like the normal formula. And now that we know what it's like, this one didn't come as a shock, but we kept thinking about how, like, if we'd watch it immediately after, say, like an Avengers Endgame or like Spider-Man or something, it would have seemed so different and, like such a different take. Like, it's even, like, it's almost like more impersonal than a Winter Soldier or something like that, even though this is about family and everything. That's like the core narrative, but it's weird.
Did you say more impersonal?
Yeah.
Than a Winter Soldier? What do you mean by that?
I mean, it just felt more impersonal. Like, just because, I mean, we don't really know anything about her. And now we've been introduced to her like pseudo sort of like stand-in family, that the only kind of family that she's ever really known. And it should have hit a lot more, harder. And it did. And they're all really great, but somehow,
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it was a little...
So, but impersonal by with the yin and yang of Cap in Winter Soldier realizing that he's been living a lie under shield in that vein, right? Okay. Yeah.
Dinks, what did you think? Did you enjoy this film? Sorry, Ruchi. Sorry, finish.
I was saying I love Florence Pugh. My entire life hangs on that frown of hers, every single movie. So yeah, that is my anchor in these dark times. I love her so much. I'm so glad that she's going to be around. So
yeah, it's good. She's great in it. Dinks?
Yeah, same. It's an air. I think because it just feels like a slighter movie, both because it's coming after a point where the MCU has like consistently managed to surprise us. Like everything from like Infinity War onwards has just been like them going like, can you believe we did this, right? But with this one, it feels very by the book and like something we would have seen
It
in
feels
the
very
middle of
phase
the
2
MCU,
or
if
phase
anything.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
close to. Yeah.
Yeah, like that was a different time, and we were at a different stage in superhero movies. So this feels more like of that era, and I think that's the problem. Also, like there's no stakes to the movie itself because like almost all of it is based on stuff you know from other movies. I think, like you guys were saying, it's anchored by the performances pretty much. If not
Yeah.
for those, it's not a very strong movie at all.
So do you think they
Like-
could have gone with a more ambitious kind of storyline? Is it one of those things that when you go like super
No.
cosmic and timey-wimey, it's like hard to go back to the roots? Or...
Yeah, there's the consequences because of that.
I mean,
So
I feel like
think
they still could
they're-
have, but
Well, I think what they chose to do, which I understand the choice of making a very personal story, because I mean, obviously, if it's going to be a solo flick, it's got to have some good amount of personal backstory that you show. But they picked that point at the end of Civil War when she goes rogue as, you know, the most convenient time to say, okay, we don't know what she's been doing for however many years it's been, like a handful of years between Civil War and Infinity, right? So that's a safe time to just have our fun with her, let her go on her own little personal, you know, eat, pray, love for spies, basically do her own thing, and come back a changed person with new hair color. And we'll give you a bonus jacket in the mix of it. Yay, now this jacket means something.
that jacket
Cute-
thing was the
cute as
most
it may be.
random.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of random. I was like, okay, cool.
It's just like, oh,
I don't mind.
How do we tie the
It's-
movies together? A
Exactly.
vest.
So if they had done something more ambitious story-wise, as opposed to like story-wise, plot-wise, I mean, then it would have had more dire consequences on everything else. It would have been harder for them to come back and be like, okay, now we're back in Infinity. Had they chosen to make something pre-Iron Man, let's say, that would have been a more bold choice.
As in
I
set
would
it, set it before Iron
yeah,
Man.
set it before
could
we
be cool.
have even met her. Because technically, the story could have happened then as well, for all you know, right? Because like the stuff that
Because
happens in this,
Scarlett Johansson doesn't age. You're right.
her dad is like
set it
less
during
than
the
10
time
years
she was
older,
a Russian agent, right? Why not?
Yeah,
Show us,
you know,
show us the evil Black Widow.
the evil. You know what's so annoying is that there's this one line which has bothered me from Civil War till date, and we still don't have any good answer for it. Which is, you know, when the Winter Soldier is escaping from that little D-23, that cage and whatever, Zemo,
You mean
like, huh?
yeah.
Yeah,
In
Zemo
Civil
kind
War,
of-
you're talking
yeah, in
about.
Civil
Yeah,
War, and there it's like Iron Man and Black Panther and Iron Man, Black Panther, and you know, Black Widow against Winter Soldier, who's just trying to escape, and he fucking pins her down, and he's just like,
You could at least recognize.
he's like, you can at least, like recognize or like pretend like you know me is what she says, I think.
Yeah.
And that line has just been stuck in my head for so long. I was like, oh man, when are you gonna see that? Like, and Marvel is, I mean, one has the opportunity that most don't have, which is to address very, very long-standing kind of, you know, setups from way before. And it's just like, I remember when we used to speak about Black Widow and what kind of movie we'd like to see. I always thought we'd see like a Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Black Widow kind of movie, maybe Budapest, which they didn't really kind of. It was almost worse than the Kessel Run than doing the Kessel Run in Solo, because in Solo, the
Yeah.
Kessel Run has been, you know, hyped up for years, and then we saw it. Here, this has been hyped up for years, and we kind of didn't exactly
She
see
pointed
it.
at a wall and was like,
And
"We
I
were
was,
there."
yeah, and I was just like, all right, cool, it's
Yeah,
fine.
just corrected the pronunciation of it like several times.
Yeah, it's fine, I guess. I did like some of this. Like, so the Red Room arc is interesting. I do like that because it's quite emotional, and it's like it's basically like human trafficking, the story, like,
Yeah.
and it's, you know, deadly serious. So it could have had.
Yeah, but did you feel like they really tackled that?
Yeah, I
just
didn't.
seemed
No, that's
more
my
like they
point.
threw
Yeah,
the concept around for
It
kicks.
felt like emotional to her, but not to the people watching. For us, it was just like, oh,
Yeah.
cool. The more emotional parts were with her family. I did enjoy all of that, especially with her sister, played by Florence Pugh, who we know is really good. I think that relationship was good. If it was just like a Thelma and Louise kind of story, or whatever, you know, like just like two girls just hanging out kind of movie, maybe that would have been better. But now we know this family. We're probably going to see them again at some point in the future, and that's fine. But yeah, you're right. I don't know about stakes. They could have really they could have done a number on it and just been like, oh, okay, actually, Black Widow, something happens to her like Loki, and she actually doesn't die in Endgame, and that would have been
It
like,
could happen now.
sorry.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Now anything, of course, is possible.
Why
We'll
not?
get to it.
Possible,
But
yeah.
if they did something more or less grounded in that regard, and just went really wacky with it, because they have the chance to do that, then
I mean, I feel like you could also just tell a more interesting story than a fill in the blanks kind of story,
Correct,
right?
yes.
Like the her as a Russian agent thing, interesting, and like a genuinely different and surprising movie that would be.
And yeah, tonally could have been different, but this felt like in
And
that
they never
Winter
really
Soldier series.
addressed the shift, what made her like switch side. They were just like, all right.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't do
There's
that.
nothing
Yeah.
very. And
Well,
like,
I think they
while
tried to do it by saying, it's the whole "I've got red in my ledger" kind of vibe, and but we don't get
but it's like a bunch of
moral.
hand wavy stuff, right? Like,
You have to consider that she was brought up in this system. So what made her suddenly like switch and go with?
But the entire family to that
all
extent.
very
so.
surprisingly so, I would say. Well, spoilers, but
Yes,
we
spoilers.
spoil it. We can't.
Yeah, we of
said
course
we're
we're
So like
spoiling
a
it.
bunch of
Spoiler
turns
alert.
happen in character towards the end with
Yeah.
various people that there isn't really any reason for, except they're like, I mean, we don't. In theory, yes, I understand it, but it would be nice if you showed us more of it. Like the relationships between the family aren't that developed really. It's only the sisters whose arc is kind of explored. With the rest of them, it's like, yeah, they're mom and dad, we love them, but that's not
And
how
they're not
mom and dad
actually,
treated
right?
you.
It's a
So
great
like, yeah,
scene
address
they
that.
have. The dinner table scene is really good, and like so they have great scenes, but
Yeah, but they don't quite hold together.
yeah.
I feel like
Look
the
at-
dinner table scene is supposed to be this whole, the anchor of the film to kind of just go like, oh, this you have to believe now that they actually care about each other. But it's one scene, and the reason why it works maybe better in something like, Ultron, where they have the whole Hawkeye's retreat kind of. It felt like similar to that, like where you take the characters out of like this action space and give them like just meaningful dialogue, towards each other. I
But
think
it's
that
anchored
one
to
works better
something,
because
right?
you
Like-
still know the motivations, and like here,
Yeah, like look at it, like when two factions are warring and like nobody can get along. In the Avengers, they had to like kill off Coulson, a beloved character that we've like known and gotten to like throughout the movie, to get them together. There's like a strong motivational factor here. It's basically just like, you know what? Actually, why don't we be on the same side?
Yeah.
yeah.
So the Hawkeye scene, I think, hit harder because we also knew at that point diddly about Hawkeye. We literally knew all we know is the word Budapest, and he doesn't like Loki because he zapped his mind. That's all we knew about the guy. And the first thing we find out about the guy is his very, very family vibe, which was new for everyone else, right? Because we hadn't seen that side for anybody else, I don't think. Like, Tony's the closest we got because he has a pepper, but that's about it. One guy has a girlfriend who we know. Cap's girlfriend died however many years ago because he's 100 years old. And so that hit harder. But in this one, yeah, like the fact that it was just a reunion at a dinner table, again, just hinging on performances, like, great, let's see some great acting right now. But I wasn't particularly empathetic to the situation.
So
like when
if-
Hawkeye opens a door to his kids,
Yeah.
it's like, holy crap, an Avenger has kids? Like, what the hell?
So is Scarlett Johansson too big an actor to do a Disney Plus series version of this movie? But
I think she'd be game. It's just
Yeah,
that
I think-
I don't think they came up like this feels like a very tick the boxes kind of movie.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
fill
like-
in the
Yeah.
blanks, give them a solo movie, and
I
like,
think it
what
was
kind
part of
of annoyed
her
me was the
deal.
setting up of the family.
Yeah.
Like, while it's cool that they'll be around, and like, I mean, Florence Pugh is going to be great, etc. But it's so clearly being set up in a way where you're like, well, we get to see these guys in the MCU now. Don't worry, the Black Widow's dead, which is not great. Like, I mean, compare that to say like a Rogue One.
I was
we
just
have-
thinking of Rogue One as an example of
right?
something.
Like that's a bold move, but and I'm not saying you have to kill off all your characters for me to care. I'm just saying that there's some kind of risks being taken there. They're doing something adventurous, whereas here it's like, hey, here's the movie you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Feels a little.
Yeah, So stakes wise, not cool. A lot of things that, but I still managed to enjoy
I've
this film.
seen every MCU movie at least 3 or 4 times. I actually had to think. I was like, I have seen Captain Marvel 3 times. I am not going to see it again. But this movie, I don't know if it'll have much rewatch value. Because there's nothing substantial
when we do the
enough
next
that happens
marathon,
within it.
You'll watch it in between.
Yeah,
Civil
good
War
luck with that.
and Infinity War.
Good luck with that.
I just want to say I still enjoyed this film. I think maybe it's just because we're fans. We'll basically eat anything.
Yeah.
And also it was good to see a film as opposed to another series which you have to wait for, every week. Which again, we're going to talk about one right now, but I still enjoyed it. I still think Yelena is a really, really cool character that we might get to see later on.
Mm-hmm.
And if she ultimately becomes Black Widow or something like that, that's cool. If she kind of ends up becoming one of the better characters of the MCU, then this movie was completely worth it. So,
I think so.
Yeah.
Look, I'm all for the Val cameos playing as a pseudo Nick Fury going around collecting people. I'm all for it. So that made it completely worth it. I have no regrets for this movie. But I'm not gonna, sing its praises for too long. It's like, it was fun.
Yeah, it's like at this point, it doesn't even feel like I don't even look at the movies like, oh, how was this movie by itself? Like, it doesn't it's just like, okay, cool. This is just part of the long story that we're gonna be.
It's just another chapter.
It's just another chapter. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just like, okay, cool. All right, today's episode was not that good, but there'll probably be a payoff for it later on. So I'm like, it's fine. And the thing that I like most about what's happening with the Marvel Universe, and I know this is not a function of this movie, but just generally where they are, is that, again, in life, I never thought we would see characters, that are so obscure in the comics. Like, Loki just did they did an assembled, for the show. And it's just like, and they're talking about like characters like Goliath and all of that stuff, and you're just like, shit, man. It's like, where have they plucked these characters and given them these big screen things? So I'm just
Is the assembled thing out?
I'm sorry.
I saw the trailer. Is it out?
Yeah, it's
the assembled.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Awesome. And so for those reasons, I'm cool with it. I like it. Will we get to see Red Guardian versus Captain America and Captain America 4? Cool. I'm fine with that. Like that would be good. I'm excited for Captain America 4, honestly. So let's see how they decide to kind of pull these worlds together, considering that the Black Widow and Captain America have had a shared kind of timeline almost. So it would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Other character that I like, the Agent. Don't know who the actor is, but that's a pretty big character in the comic. Well, not a big character, but he features a lot. And he got a role in this movie as well. I don't know who the actor is, but he was quite cool and charming, and it's like a cool addition to the Marvel gang, like a Jimmy Woo kind of guy. So that was cool. Oh man, have I frozen? Oh no, I haven't.
Who are we talking about?
The Agent?
Who's the
I don't know
agent?
what his name is in the movie.
He doesn't have a name. He is like.
The fixer. Yeah, the
Yes, the supplier.
Yeah.
The
home improvement guy.
Yeah.
Tim
So he was cool.
Tim the Toolman.
Also, one thing, let's just before we move on to Loki, I also want to talk about Taskmaster. I love Taskmaster because it's a really, really cool villain, and it's actually a villain in the comics. And here, obviously, it's got some emotional stakes, but it kind of like the reveal was fine, I guess.
Alright, cool.
All right, sure. But I think they didn't.
I feel a bit like the way they set up the Taskmaster with like, can mimic anything you see and stuff. It gave me very like, that's Katana, her sword traps swords.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but the thing is that is the Taskmaster's kind of shtick.
It's also, I mean,
the interesting thing is that I thought we would see more of the the moves, the muscle memory thing, and have a little bit more into that. But that's the whole thing about
Really,
Taskmaster.
that's the one thing they chose to play subtle. Like,
yeah, I know. I was
clearly
just like,
she's
what?
mimicking
That's
some
like
moves.
the coolest thing. Like,
But, like,
guys,
you'd want
Marvel,
to see
it's
it
okay
happen.
to sacrifice story for something cool also. It's fine.
I honestly forgot about Taskmaster.
They have a shot
half the
of
movie.
her finding a box of blonde hair dye, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
I hated that so much. I'm
Yeah.
like, why?
The ties to
It's like, we know you're gonna be
Infinity
burned, it's
War
fine.
Yeah, so
are
what?
very
Yeah.
very not subtle at all.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is like, okay, cool, some hair dye. Here's a vest. I was like, guys.
But then Florence Pugh is so adorable that like she fully. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'll-
yeah, fair. I mean, that's the best way they could have done it, and it's not a very high ceiling, but they hit it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, so Black Widow, sure. It got really good reviews. A lot of people enjoyed it, and I
yeah,
think maybe it's just
93% or something.
I don't know, man, because a lot of people in America got to see it in the theater. I don't know what that experience must have been like. So maybe
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, you know, like if especially if that was like one of, if not your first movie back in theaters, like that's great.
yeah, that's a
solid
very
movie.
decent outing, I'd say.
Yeah.
All right, let us move on to Loki, the third Disney Plus series, and apparently not the last one this year. So I mean, we know that because of What If, but in terms of live action, there are a couple more to go. But so following WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have Loki. Again, a very, very distinct look and feel and tone to the show, very different from the other two. All of them have been very, very individual, you know, had their own individual style. What did you guys think overall of the show, its themes? Did you guys like it better than the other two? Is it the best show that we've had so far? Ruchi, why don't we start with you?
Because I'm the only one who's constantly raving about it. I read our Discord and everyone seems
That is
to be.
interesting though, right? Like, I mean, even on our Discord, like people don't like this show. So
Yeah,
I'm just.
they're quite vocal about it, which is why I was like, okay.
Did we all enjoy it? Ruchi,
I
Diggs,
really liked it.
Jishnu?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I really
it
did
was
enjoy
really
it.
good.
Especially
It
because-
was
It's
really
great. It's really fun.
Yeah.
But
Because
Ruchi, go. Yeah.
is why I enjoyed it way more than, or definitely more than like Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's like number 3, you know. It's not
Yeah.
even like a hard decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, but this is it's an interesting thing because he himself, so they were talking about it in the Assembled episode, right? Like he's only been in all of the MCU movies just for like under 2 hours. And he's had such a massive impact, like, and everyone's loved him from like the point go. And they keep bringing him back. He talks about it as well. He was supposed to die in Thor, The Dark World, and then he does it because it didn't test that well. So it is almost like the path of the character and Tom Hiddleston's involvement in it and what he is like is almost like synonymous. So this theme of like this character not knowing, he is however many years old he is, like Thor's like 1600 years old or something, right, in the MCU. So Loki must be like around
1500 or less. Yeah, maybe 13, 12.
So it's crazy that this would be the theme that they would pick. Like with Wanda, it was like grief and everything, and with Falcon, I don't even know what the theme was.
It was bromance. That was the theme.
Yeah, but with this, it's mostly like he's basically served a purpose to every single movie that he's been in. In Avengers 2012, he's had to be like the straight up villain he was. In Thor: The Dark World, he had to be like this sort of like most chameleonic kind of thing he was. And then in Ragnarok, he was like the guy, you know, the little brother, whatever, that you can't really trust. But then he just shows up like in the clutch and he fixes everything. So he's always had to be everything that the story requires him to be, and he doesn't really have anything of its own. So for his show to deal with like identity, it's almost like it's very fitting, is what I think.
Yeah, it's nail on head.
Like this show.
Yeah. It was
So
I would say it's
very
one
well
of
said.
the rare iterations of you either live as the villain or see yourself or live long enough to see you become the hero.
And
So-
it's such a strange story because like you can tell this type of story with him because he's had like this anti-hero past and he's also been like a straight up villain and you can't really trust him. They constantly say that, you know, about him. So it's almost fitting that you could tell this type of story with this type of character with like a grayish moral background. But I mean, think about it really, like if you had to talk about like, oh, what are these superheroes like in their personal life, like in their inner life, what are their identities, like what are their loyalties, where do they lie, other than just like, oh, of course, I'm just going to be like saving the world. That's my whole thing. But other than that, what who are they?
Yeah, I know,
It's fitting that you could tell this with him.
Yeah, it's
and-
also the first villain that we've got like a full on kind of Marvel property with. Like everything else is it's all based on the hero's perspective, so that's kind of interesting as well. And I think they wanted to do. I think they've always been working towards this redemption kind of arc because it's always lovely to see that. But like even from Ragnarok, you know,
The
kind of
Ragnarok,
yeah,
right?
from Ragnarok
Well,
onwards.
I watched it recently in the middle of like
Same.
this show's run.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. So there's this one scene at the end where, and I'm a known MCU Thor.
Hater?
I'm not really a hater, but I just think he's like super boring. Or maybe that's just Chris Hemsworth, right? So he doesn't really have a lot. If anyone needed like an identity-based story, it's probably him because I don't know shit about him or what he's about.
Okay.
So he plays it so bland.
Cool.
But then there's this scene at the end where he supposedly Thor comes up with this grand idea that they're gonna charge, right? And he's like on the Rainbow Bridge, and this is how they're gonna do it. And they'd cut to Loki, like directly to his face, and Loki of all people is like, bold move, brother, even for me. And I'm like, even for you, you're supposed to be the smartest person, you're like giving him like, so it made me so mad. I told my brother, I'm like, oh my god, like they dumb him down so much depending on the movie. And of course in the Thor movie he's gonna be in that way. So it's great that he gets the show and he gets to be
No, it's good. It's that classic younger brother living under the shadow, you know, like, and it's good that, you know, he finally gets a show.
He didn't have to say that. It wasn't really like that radical of a attack plan. He didn't have to be like, oh, that's so bold that we're all gonna.
Well, no, I disagree with that. He basically said, "We let's blow up Asgard."
Yeah.
I mean, I'd call that radical. When Loki's been trying to steal the throne and Thor's been like, "No, save the throne for Dad and let a benevolent ruler."
Half of it's burned down already, so I don't know. Anyway,
so we should save it. Don't help them. But anyway,
I don't know. I think Thor is. I think Thor is coming into his own in the last few films, especially that. Man, that one scene with Rocket in Infinity War is like one of the best scenes ever, dude. So I think Thor is coming out, like finally he's getting a move on. But yeah, Loki has always been very, very intriguing, and just Tom Hiddleston kind of embodies the character to the point which is like close to like maybe RDJ or whatever. But let's talk about the show. Dinks, what did you think of the show, and what did you think of some of the new characters that we got to see?
They were all Lokis, yeah?
They were all?
They were all Lokis.
Oh, I thought you said they were all okay.
I thought it was... No, I really liked the show. I thought it had a lot of great moments. There are some things that I'm not entirely sold on yet. That are just like odd feints of direction, I would say. So like one of them being like the new characters, right? For example, like both Owen Wilson's character and the Sylvie variant of Loki, they set them up in like really interesting ways, and then kind of like turned away from exploring those in a way that I thought did justice to it. I'm not quite sure why. So like, I mean, to start with, it felt like they were going down this whole like partners angle with what is Owen Wilson's name?
Mobius,
yes. Between Mobius and Loki, that they kind of like went away from fairly quickly to pair him up most of the time with Sylvie, and they were great in like a very hangouty sense, but I didn't like, they tried to go for this whole like before sunrise kind of vibe with them on Lamentis, and I was like, it didn't quite nail it.
Oh, I disagree.
Before the
I thought they did a great job with it.
Yeah, no, I'm with D on that. I wasn't.
Why? Yeah. So part of this show is the love story. So let's.
Yeah, I wasn't totally sold on the love story, but I liked a lot. I liked the subject matter. I liked what they were implying with that. I didn't think it was executed that best, and that's. I don't know if it's because Sylvie dropped the ball for me or what, but I don't know. Like, I'm with D on that one.
Did it feel more compelling when they were like in the last episode when they have like conflicting viewpoints on what needs to be done? That kind of makes sense because you see where they're coming from, like with the life she's lived and the life he's lived. You get why they kind of like are the same person but wouldn't agree. But this like and now they're falling for each other thing did not, like, that felt like they were kind of forcing it.
Yeah, but
I mean, him falling for her more, right? Because he's lived his life being like, I'm of course like the smartest person in every room. And when they tell him that it's a variant of himself, of him, he's always like, but I have to insist that I am the superior Loki, and you have to like, I'll catch
yeah,
them.
but see, that's the thing. Like what kept me compelled with the show the whole way through was the fact that even though like Dinkar said, there are a couple of things that kind of fizzled out a bit. That concept of the fact that he's supposed to feel like, I mean, he feels like he's a superior being, but then at the same time he's narcissistic. So if you're narcissistic, shouldn't you love yourself? If you find your female counterpart, or whatever it may be, like if you find that opportunity, he's also an opportunist who always like keeps pushing through and trying new things. And so it's just like, it was a really great mind experiment to play.
I think it's cool. I think that
it was
the difference,
solid subject matter.
Like just to bring up the ending, right? Like the whole reason why they would have a conflict of interest, like at the end, is because we've shown. I mean, we have had the opportunity to see Loki kind of evolve like throughout the show, and at the last, when it counts at the end, that's when he's like, okay, cool, we shouldn't do this. We shouldn't, kill this guy, he who remains, yeah. But she hasn't gone through this. He who must not remain. But she hasn't gone through that arc. She hasn't had the kind of growth that we
ever learned that much about her, right? Which is odd.
I know. But I think that's the problem of only knowing one character out of the two leads of the show. One's entire history and one you've just been introduced to. So,
but I mean, you had the freedom to tell us about it, and you chose not to, which is what strikes me as weird. Like Richard E. Grant's Loki, like the classic Loki, comic book Loki, whatever his official title is.
Yeah, classic
that
Loki.
Guy also pulls a similar move, right? Where he goes from like basically being the Loki who got everything he wanted, and is like essentially a version of our like Tom Hiddleston Loki, as his most with his worst impulses satisfied. He flips at the end, and when he does, like even though he's just had like a few lines of dialogue, you understand, because like he just tells you like, I got everything I wanted, and look at me now, I don't like I just feel like it was all worthless. So when he flips and he's like, I'm going to save these two Lokis, I like that character arc made complete sense. With this one, with Sylvie in particular, it's like, why is she doing what she's doing, and what's the deal here?
I mean, you didn't feel like she's. I mean, her whole thing is that her life has been. She's been living in these whole apocalyptic kind of events, hiding from the TVA. Basically, her entire life was stolen from her. All she wants to do is fucking end shit. Like, and that for me, it's like that's the greatest motivator, right? Even for Loki, it's like the exact same thing that drives Loki in the first movie, in the first Thor, which is like, I'm the king, I'm like, and then the whole thing about him learning that he's adopted and blah blah blah. He's like, I want the throne. It's as simple as that. It's kind of the. I mean, I didn't need that much from Sylvie. In fact, like this, I mean, the show is called Loki. It's still about him. So it's really about him getting to that point where he's just like, you know what? I would be so with you to kill he who must not be remained. But for the first time, I'm gonna do the opposite thing, and I'm gonna be like, no, if you don't do this, it'll actually cause chaos. And I'm fucking known for being, the god, god of mischief and chaos. So I think until that point, it felt right. I didn't really need to know that much about Sylvie. Like, I get her arc is pretty simplistic till there.
It wasn't for the fact that they tried to push this whole like they're falling for each other thing.
Yeah. So see, that's the only thing. Like, I'm kind of on both sides here. It's like, I love how it ended because it makes complete sense for her to be the one that she's the more cutthroat, she's more of a survivalist because she's been living in apocalypses unlike any other Loki as far as we know so far, and she's the one that does the selfish thing of like, fuck it, I want He Who Remains to be another notch on my belt because that's how I'm wired and that's how I am. And I like that Hiddleston made the choice to be the only Loki that would be brave enough to be selfless every now and again. When it really counted, he's capable of doing that, which makes him the superior one. But like Dinkar said, the falling in love thing wasn't handled so well, I don't think. It could have been better, but I'm glad it was touched on. I'm glad that they tried it because it was like a really novel concept to play with.
Yeah, I wanted a nice romance for our boy, man. I want him to be happy.
She's still there. Sylvie's still alive, as far as we know, in that castle. And our boy can maybe see her again, or whatever, go look for another variant.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I completely agree that I think it's a great idea. I'm just like I'm saying, why do it in this odd way? It's like it felt like just a misstep of some sort and not flesh it out.
Odd
Like,
way, being?
if you just look at
I think
Sylvie
the
on
whole show's a
paper,
pretty
she's
odd way.
Thanos.
I don't know what you mean by the odd way.
As in, like, why not? Like, when they have that entire conversation, they don't end up really talking much about Sylvie at all. When really it's the perfect moment for us to talk about Sylvie, considering we've essentially spent an entire episode poring over Loki and his motivations. If he's falling for someone, we should kind of get a sense of why. And it felt like that didn't really happen.
Well, I think the why is because she's him, and so he's like,
yeah, I
who
know.
do I love
As in,
more
like,
than
yeah, I get
me?
what Dinkar is
You know,
saying in the
it's like-
sense that we
yeah.
we know why,
Yeah.
but maybe just for the sake of the
like,
show. Fair enough.
On
No,
paper,
I get
it's a
it.
great idea, but
Do you think the
I
show
mean,
would have been a lot better without the love story angle and just like keep it like, okay, cool, these two differing opinions of a same kind of character?
No, I actually think
No.
Love Story angle's great. I just felt like they should have done it like slightly better.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
she-
it's. I don't mind the ingredient in the mix. It's just like there's too much of it, and I don't know how much is the right amount to put in. But like they should have dialed it down. Definitely.
Maybe. I don't
But
know. I don't.
How far
I,
down? I don't know.
I don't know if it was the defining thing of this show.
Yeah.
For me also, I mean, like the more interesting conversations obviously even happened with Mobius earlier on in the first two
Right.
episodes, and yeah, I kind of feel bad that we didn't get as much Mobius towards the end.
Yeah.
But
You
he's
can
great.
say wow once.
Sorry, yeah, he didn't say.
know.
I think
Wow.
that they're holding out
Yeah.
on that. Like, come on, you
Yeah,
gotta
it's-
season
you
2
gotta
now.
make it. It's gotta be an
Season 2.
echoed. Like it's gotta be like through a megaphone.
Oh,
But he
man.
was so great. I'm so happy.
He was
that-
so
Oh,
good.
just-
Like he was like I did
Like-
not expect it to be even as good as he was.
Like
but
I'll
yeah,
tell you just
amazing.
one line that will live in infamy for me. That just sums up everything about Owen Wilson, which is in the last episode. It's right towards the climax of the whole show, and it's right before. I keep fucking up her name, Ravonna.
Ravonna, yeah.
Ravonna, yeah.
Renslayer in this show.
So, just before she leaves, right? He tries to tackle her, then she fights back. He falls down, right? And he basically like makes a threat of like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna zap you. I'm gonna kill you. Like I know you think you're all that tough, but fuck it. And she just does one judo move. He falls back down on the ground, and just in the only way Owen Wilson can, he just says, "Yeah, you were right." And just like the most defeatist kind of like, you say this line
He's
in
the
every
most
movie, even though
disarming
you
guy
don't.
there is. You know,
Yeah,
like how
just
can you
like-
get angry with him at all? Like it's so
It was
good.
I was so moved when like in the 4th episode. So he's awoken to the real nature of the TVA, and then he's obviously apprehended by these guys. He's trying to help him escape. And then he's like, the question you asked me where I would go where I'm really from. And maybe I had a jet ski, and I was like, oh. he's
So there's a good theory going out online that he's a variant of Silver Surfer, and the jet ski is like the surfboard in another, and that he's not
I
in
would-
that.
I would
That would be
love it.
amazing, right? Like that would be
I
incredible.
love it.
Wasn't the whole
Blonde
theory that
surfer
he-
variant of the
Loki
Silver
is-
Surfer.
Yeah, he uses a jet ski instead. That's about it. He's the
What was I
alligator
saying?
Loki
The
of
whole theory is that
Silver
he's
Surfer.
a Loki variant as well, and his, which is why he can empathize with him so much. And
Yeah, that's another theory that's been going around, that he's a Loki variant. But then why hasn't he been pruned as quickly? But yeah, there's some really good
So
good
they
stuff in
messed up in the last episode. You guys catch that?
there. No, what happened?
Right at the gate of the Citadel, and she's like, obviously, she's pausing before she, he's like, aren't you gonna like slam the door down or whatever? She's like, no, wait, I've waited for this moment my entire life. And she says, I've been pruned before you even existed. And everybody I was watching with was like, she was never pruned. If she was pruned, she wouldn't even age. She was
No,
taken.
well, her
She was
reality was
pruned
pruned.
when she,
Her-
when
her-
she was
her
playing
branch
on,
was
on
pruned.
Asgard, when she was that scene we saw.
Yeah, but they didn't prune her. And
No,
send
they
her
didn't
to-
prune her. Yeah, they
Okay,
pruned her,
okay, yeah.
her,
Yeah, they
her,
apprehend
her
her.
offsetting
Yeah.
branch or whatever.
Yeah, she ran
Cut
away.
off her
So-
timeline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she said I was pruned before.
And she should have said my timeline was pruned.
Mm.
All right, time to make a change.
Yeah, there are a few questions like that. Like, like one of the main questions was like, what the hell is Doctor Strange looking at if there was only one timeline until this time with the 14 million realities? Like, what, like, if there was only one, then there's only one. You're good, right? But I don't know. That's I guess I'm sure they might address a little bit of it in Multiverse of Madness. Man, let's talk about Kang. I love Jonathan Majors. He's so good in Lovecraft
Such a
Country.
great opening for him.
Yeah.
So good.
Dude,
Loved it.
Have
amazing.
you seen Lovecraft Country?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have
That's one of my
not.
faves. So good.
Oh my god. So that day was like a huge day for Jonathan Majors anyway. So that was his MCU debut, and he got nominated for an Emmy.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very good. Awesome.
And he's gonna be in Quantum Mania with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So that's so exciting.
And we were like, who is it gonna be? Who are they gonna like? Who's in there? You know? And we were like, no, maybe it's just another Tom Hiddleston or whatever. And it shows up. And Ronnie and I like we watched Lovecraft Country was like one of our early lockdown things that we like watched
Nice.
every week. And my brother's like, Jonathan Majors, Kang! He literally screamed.
Well, I mean, the thing is that when I saw him, like, I was just like, all right, cool, it's Kang. That's it. Like, because I think they announced his casting like a while ago.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so I was just like, all right, sweet.
I was like,
And there's also like a
there's
Kang
this article.
Easter egg in the 5th episode. So I was just like, and I would watch these, Kang, these Easter egg kind of breakdowns. And
Yeah.
there's one which has the Stark Tower, which has instead of Stark,
Right.
it's got Kang on it. And I was like, all right, sweet, that's cool.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
the best. There's like a addition to the discourse. They were waiting for the finale, and someone on Decider.com wrote, "I really hope Jonathan Majors appears as Kang in the finale because I'm horny for him." And literally, and it has so many. That's the reason I found it was like it had so many like likes and everything. And this is an article written by a verified.
Good for them. That's great.
He was amazing.
He was so good. Like it's a weird
Okay.
role to play. But
Can we
he
can we
just did
take
good
a
job.
can we take a second to acknowledge the fact that they also very, very successfully, I think, did exactly what we were expecting them to do the entire time. Like in Falcon and in WandaVision especially, the whole time we were trying to like the audience was always trying to be smarter than the showrunner. Like what's going to happen next week? I think I know who it is. Raph is a thing and a Mephisto and a stuff and a bit of it. This one, pretty much everything lined up exactly as expected. There were no like major surprises. And it felt deeply satisfying without us going like, that was easy. That's all. I knew that all along.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew it, which is a great feeling.
True.
And
Very true.
the
This
whole-
show didn't
the
have
whole
that
way
quality
through-
to it. Yeah.
The whole way through, we saw this Wizard of Oz deal happening the whole time. And it's exactly the Wizard of Oz. He meets the wizard at the end, and the wizard is exactly like the wizard in the Wizard of Oz. He's a weirdo, and he's just like whatever the tits, except that they kill him. But again, he's like, I know.
Well,
you killed
technically,
me,
he's
wink.
not Kang. Like he's a Kang
He's not
variant. Like he's
Potato. But I'm just like, the fact is, that's absurd that they managed to just do everything we thought they'd do.
Yeah, it's
And
awesome.
it was
In
great.
fact, one of my
It was
favorite
like-
things about this show was in I think the first episode where they kind of just like they diminish the value of the Infinity Stone like
Yeah.
that. It was so good to see
Yeah.
because it was just like
really
we're
nice.
hanging on these Infinity Stones. Oh, what can they do later on? And they just like we're just using it as paperweights now. I was just like, good. So you've shown that that's not even the like even Loki's face is everyone's face when he's just
Yeah.
like, is this the ultimate power in the universe? And it's just like everything that the whole MCU has been built on so far is just like boom, it's not important anymore. Just
Yeah.
move the fuck on. And I was like, that's really good. I love that. I love the TVA, the whole, like
Drabness
60s Mad
of
Men
it, yeah.
style, whatever. It was great.
Drabness, I really like that it was a time travel situation, but there was no like we didn't have like a montage of someone trying to like properly perfect like the entire technology. It was just it was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
You
gonna
know,
say time-honored thing, but it's like,
I mean, I still
There
don't
was one
understand the
moment-
mechanics of how the branches and all that stuff. I mean, like the problem is the deeper you dig into the whole like,
Yeah.
if everything is written and everything has, everything you've said, like the first scene, one of the first few scenes is like everything Loki has said until now is in a big stack of like A4 size
Yeah.
papers. And he's like, okay, cool. So everything you will say and everything you have done and, have done and will do is set. And the whole concept of free will is like bandied about like somewhere in the middle of the show. And they kind of like, I'm glad they didn't like dig too deep into that hole because then it's just
Yeah, it
like
didn't
it's
become
way
Hannah.
too much, right? And
Yeah.
I'd rather just enjoy the show for what it is rather than like, like in Endgame, it's fun to do some of the math and go like, oh yeah, but if they land in this time, what does it mean? And then it works better when it's the whole Terminator version of things, where it's like one timeline and time is immutable and that's about it. But now it's just like, oh, if you want to get into like, oh, but who is that kid from that time and what happens if you change? It's just like, I really don't care about some of that stuff.
The mechanics is not really what the show is about anyway. The show is
Yeah.
about, okay, fine. It ends with this massive sort of event that now it's going to bleed into everything. And it's
Yeah,
really,
in fact, it's going to get harder to deal with now. And like, it's a lot easier, I suppose, for the writers. They can just go like, time travel.
but it's really neat. I think it's really neat that the entire show is about him trying to sort of converge with what he thinks of himself. And like, that's like a dissonance that's happening. And then he finds whatever he's supposed to like.
Self-actualization. Yeah, no, it's
They've always
And
been.
on the other end, literally on the end of time, there's someone who's so self-actualized that he's like, I've met every version of myself, like metaphorically, and I'm really like terrified and scared, and I'm done basically. Like I don't really want to.
Yeah, he doesn't even like
him. The journey that he's on, he's still on that journey, obviously. But then he meets someone who's at the end of it, who's like, it does really
So
get me.
I explain this, like, so because Sylvie kills he who remains, the timeline gets fucked. Why? Why does killing him? Because he's been stopping the other variants from causing F-ups?
And that's
that
how it happened.
Yeah.
First time
He knows a lot, right? He knows a whole lot, so he's I
No,
assume
but why
therefore
is
able
his
to
life the
control.
determining factor of?
I would imagine that he knows how to handle the chaos.
Okay.
The chaos is ensuing, of course, but he knows how to keep a tab on it.
variants who started.
No, so as in, like, does the TVA stop functioning if he dies? Because the TVA's job is to keep all of this in check. So
If he who remains dies, no, because the minute they went back, he saw that there's a new TVA with a variant of.
well, that's just one timeline TVA.
That's
So
the other.
and that's one. Yeah, so I'm assuming there are a bunch of TVAs out there
Jesus
But
Christ.
they're
Right?
all being controlled by a version of.
by
Yeah,
Kangs
that's it.
in
Kang,
varying
yes.
forms.
I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I think essentially, like, they don't delve into it much, but it seemed pretty clear that the mechanics are that this one particular variant, the He Who Must Not Be Remained, has basically like written and directed everything we've seen so far. As we
Okay.
can see, like in the first episode of like when Loki looks at his memories and they're all like shot from multiple
Amazing
angles,
HD.
with like tracking shots and stuff.
Love that. That's my favorite.
Because that's how we all remember things. But yeah, basically, there has been no free will or decisions up to this point in anything we've seen.
Yeah.
Because one
That's a
entire
confirm
timeline.
or what?
No.
Yeah, because like, what is the end of time?
I know.
It
This
basically
is
means,
where
like,
this
a
is where
timeline is a
I
pre-written thing,
yeah.
and free will or like decisions, all they do is to you have the choice to go door number 1 or door number 2. Now, in one timeline, you're on door number 2. You go to door number 1, you immediately create another timeline.
And then you get
essentially.
pruned.
Yeah.
Yes. So what's been happening until now is that this He Who Must Be Remained has been like, I know exactly what my timeline is because I've come till the end of time. So I will ensure that no other timelines exist. So like whatever has to happen to get to this point at the end of time, I will enforce those decisions
Correct.
through my TVA.
So
He delegates to the TVA, and now that the TVA are no longer under his control, the TVA crumbles because even before.
so he was
even
gonna
before that-
gonna die anyway, right?
Well, no. So here's the thing. If I have this right, then even before that final moment in the throne room happens, like, if left to their own devices, Mobius and the Loki variants would still have created enough havoc to create some hullabaloo, and then potentially Ravonna, hopefully she has a turn in season 2 and whatever. Things could have still happened, right? But eventually, He Who Must Not Remain would come back around and fix things, right? Season 2 could have still ensued, but eventually He Who Remains would have kept a grip on it. And there's literally some line that I'm forgetting. It feels like it should have been important enough to remember. But there's some line at the end of his speech where he says, "Oh, do you feel it?"
Yeah, the
Boom.
you cross
The
the
thing, the cross the threshold.
That's it.
But
You're right. Oh, we lost Jishnu. That was the end of his timeline. Maybe Dinkar, you can. Oh man, did I lose everyone?
No, Jishnu's
Can you
back
guys-
now, and
can you see-
you're still
Yeah.
frozen.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You're still
Go
frozen.
again. Go again. Boom! It happened.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
crossed the threshold also.
So he crossed the threshold, right? Basically, he tells them everything that they need to know. Gives them the cliff notes on what it is to be a Kang or the ultimate Kang. So now they
Nathan
know
Richards.
the things. They now know the things, and therefore, by knowing the things, I'm no longer the only one that knows things. Therefore, if two people know things, chaos ensues because now it's between either of us. If it was just left to me, I'm in complete control. And if you kill me, then that confirms that you will have complete control, which means good luck running this ship because I'm fucking tired and you're not as cool as I am.
The theory on the internet is that the threshold that he talks about is that Wanda gets to power level 9,000 at the same time. So then now he doesn't know what happens because she's a
Nexus being. Yeah.
I would
this is
buy
very
that
exciting.
more because like I said, I don't
But
know
then it
what
wasn't
he
in the
said.
show. You're right. This is
Yeah,
like a
because I don't know what the
tenet
fuck he said that made him go like, "Oh, the
It wasn't in the
threshold."
show.
I'm like, you just told them shit, but like, that's not that impressive.
This is all very exciting. I might add. It's gonna be quite
It'll be
cool.
great when I see Tobey Maguire.
That's it. Basically, all of
He's
this
done.
is so that I can see Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire. That's it, right? Like, everything else is meaningless.
It's teeing it up.
It's like
so
it's like
easily.
how much
See, like,
work can
the
we
best
put
part
in
is,
as
what
a
I
company
like
just
is
to
we
get Tobey Maguire to sign a
anything
contract?
can
again?
happen. Anything can happen in No Way Home. Absolutely anything can happen, and he was gonna be like, "Yeah, of course, right?" Like, fuck
No,
explanations.
I'm fine with it.
Nobody needs any
somebody else said
explanation
that
anymore. It's like, just take it, freebird.
the post-credit sequence of Spider-Verse when the portal opens up above Miles and everyone kind of returns is also the same inflection point of the thing. So it's like, oh, cool, you can all. I think it's gonna be equivalent to maybe the snap, like that, like kind of level of like impact on the rest of the universe.
But in this case, the snaps happened first, and now it's gonna be.
Yeah. So now it's just this. Yeah, the snap didn't even happen. I want to say before this, because this is all 2012, right? I don't know.
He exists outside of time. So.
Hey, time. Great. Awesome. I do like I am excited about
Jonathan Majors.
Majors, and I think
excited.
between Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Verse, and Quantum Mania, we'll get all the timey-wimey stuff. But does that mean that Hawkeye is Hawkeye, which is coming out later this year?
Hawkeye,
I'm
the show
so excited. Fuck time travel. It's not even important.
I'm
because
expecting
what
a
happens
good
to
laugh.
Clint? Huh?
A good laugh.
I'm expecting a good laugh with Hawkeye.
I just wanted to
more
be
so than like
scored
Black
by
Widow. Like how Black
Jeremy
Widow
Renner.
was only funny when Florence had like a few moments to like just enjoy herself, like just a handful. I'm expecting Hawkeye to do that job better. Like the series to handle that.
Is this confirmed that Florence Pugh is going to be in the Hawkeye show? I don't know.
I know.
She's now chasing him. Yeah.
No, but then has he recovered from his? Is he a good person again?
Yeah, he just.
It depends on the
went on a
haircut.
cold-blooded
Like
murder
depending on
spree.
whatever haircut he has in the poster, like all right, you'll know.
So he's
like,
no
what
longer
mood is
Ronin.
that.
He's done. He's
Yeah.
back to being Hawkeye.
Isn't
Okay.
this show supposed to be about him trying to start a rock career?
No, that has happened already.
And
That was the snap,
that
basically.
shit
That
on
was
my
the moment where Kang is just like, oh, we crossed it. That's when he released
That's when he
his
dropped
Jeep
his
commercial.
album. Yeah, it was
I don't
5:30 in the
think
morning, and Hawkeye dropped his album.
Is
and he's
there
like,
an
oh, shit.
album? I thought he was just like it's coming.
He's
soon.
released 3 singles
He's
in
several-
something called #Summer of Jeep, which happened a couple of years
because he
ago.
tied up.
Yeah.
But then I'm so heartbroken. that
Summer of
Gap is
Jeep.
no more.
Summer of Jeep, yeah.
Yeah.
So he released his
He did an
album
ad for Jeep.
with
Yeah.
as a brand collab.
Cool.
He
Jeep,
DM'd a
another
Jeep
Got the brand
and
on
was
the
like,
character.
hey, you want to collab?
Like what?
And,
Yeah, it was
they
like
said yes.
Astroworld and Fortnite, but it was like him and.
No,
Jeep.
different. I'll tell you why. Because Astroworld came out first, and then he did everything else. Here, Jeremy Renner went straight to the source. He slid into Jeep's DMs and said, "Hey, you want to collab?" And they said, "Yeah." And boom, Stomp Rock began. So
I'm so sad that I never got to sign up for his app. I mean, that's really what I.
yeah, and shame
That's the
on
reality.
you.
Ooh, guys,
That's
relative to
the reality I
nothing.
would be in, that his app didn't get pulled. from
New
the-
app, which I'm also very bummed that, I mean, I'm telling you about this just to make you feel bad because none of us can get on it. Darren Brown has an app.
What?
He's like, yo, get on my
No,
app.
I will
fuck with
never
me.
get on anything there. That's
I-
just
I
it's just
wanna
a
get on
social
that app
experiment.
So fast.
Don't do
I
it.
know. I want him to like convince me to shoot you guys in the face or something. Like, I want that so bad.
That's so true. Man.
No, I want to be on the Jeremy.
Oh, you guys missed out. Jishnu and I were on Vero, which is Zack Snyder's app of choice.
Yes, I'm very well.
We knew about Snyder Cut way before you guys, man.
Weird. What?
Remember, he posted shit like he would post like all the black and white stills. and all that.
Vero.
Vero, yeah.
Him,
Oh,
right?
man,
Wasn't
dude.
it his
I blocked that out of my memory.
COP as well? He would constantly.
Fuck.
Oh,
Was it
man.
That wasn't Zach's app, was it? He just chose to.
No,
use,
he
like,
was just the
become,
chief endorsee of the entire.
Basically, it was a black theme. It was a dark theme, and that was the point of the app. It was just a regular app, but in all black.
Wasn't Vero like where he would post like his super broed out workout?
Yeah, yes.
Yep,
How else do we know so much about his regimen and the fact that he loves CrossFit?
I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
He just chose Vero as a medium. He would have done it on anything.
Yeah, no, you're
That's
right.
Zach, man. Don't blame it on the app.
I'm fine. I don't care.
I don't want to hurt the app's feelings.
Yeah.
I think Hawkeye is mostly going to be about Our Lady Kate, right?
Kate Bishop. Yeah.
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 Exactly.
And with these kids coming in and whatnot, I believe there's talk of Young Avengers being a thing.
Yeah,
soon.
there's a lot of talk of that. With Val basically being the brains.
Oh,
Val
really?
being?
So Val has what's his face? The Patriot,
U.S. agent.
U.S. agent. Now Florence, right? With White Widow, whatever. And she's doing the rounds saying that she's bankrolled by somebody, right? Because like, who was it she was talking to? Oh yeah, with Florence. Florence is like, I want to raise. She's like, I want to raise too. So clearly she's like under
No, I
somebody.
think
So there's
she's
one
the top.
theory.
She's the top
There's
dog.
one
in that.
theory that it's that William Hurt is backdoor piloting this because he's like, fuck the Avengers, I need my own Avengers.
Then
He's
he
like,
has to become Hulk, dude. That's the only way I
Yeah,
see
But
this
then
happen.
why
But-
would she hunt Hawkeye?
So
Yeah.
that's the thing.
I mean, we have
She-
plenty of good reasons.
I think that,
Summer
like,
of
Like,
Jeep,
I heard his music.
money,
Get
the
him.
money is on. She's got Florence and she's got what's his face?
John Walker.
U.S. agent.
John Walker. Yeah. If she's going after Hawkeye, she'll invariably get a Kate Bishop through some means because that could be a cool flip.
I have
Okay.
no idea where these stories are going, but
Yeah, but hey,
But
if
we
it's
want-
anything
we
like
need
the
a
like the comic,
we need a Fury.
it'll be
We need
good.
a new Fury to like just like slowly drip things along.
I don't know why they've not
And-
used Maria Hill like more. Like she is so big. She becomes the director of Shield also, dude. Like in the comics and stuff. She should just. They have a perfectly good character. There's so
Julia
many
is a
characters,
solid
guys.
counterpart to Sam in that like super fucking confident and like I've seen some shit kind of a vibe. Maria
And
Hill is like
Julia
she's too young.
Louis-Dreyfus.
She's like
But all of these characters are gonna get dusted, right? So when we come back to these movies, are we still on the same timeline as before?
I think everything's going to be like hopping timelines now, right?
yeah.
So when we watch
You're right,
Multiverse of
you're-
Madness, we're watching it still from our OG Doctor Strange, not a Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I'm expecting Multiverse is gonna be the reset button for like fans at large, like just like for casual fans who haven't
Oof, I
seen
don't know
Loki
how
and
that's a
haven't watched
reset
everything.
even, dude.
To like
It's
just
more
be
complicated
like
than
understand. Hey, listen, I'm Doctor Strange. Let me tell you what's up. This is how things work. When people come, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
We lost Jishnu's audio. Did we?
No.
Yeah.
You're on a different timeline.
Can
I'm
you
on a
hear
different
us?
timeline.
Yes, I can hear everybody.
I can hear
Yeah, I know
everyone.
you can hear everybody.
No,
think
I
we
lost
just
Jishnu for a second. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable.
That's likely. Yes. Okay.
That you've crossed the threshold.
Achha, should we wrap this mother?
Let's wrap it. A good episode, guys. Good shows. I love all of it. I don't hate it. They can. I think it's. I'm interested in seeing what they do with Miss Marvel and we still have the What If episodes. I mean, the What If episodes are just basically now multiverse episodes, right? Like they're not even What If. It's just here's other stories and so on and so forth. Jishnu
Now
has
we
just
lost Jishnu.
left. Okay.
No.
cool.
I'm just fucking with you.
All right. So if you guys enjoyed any of this, please find us on our Discord. There's a link in our bio in the description, and follow us on Instagram. And we shall see you next week when we review Space Jam 2, A New Legacy. Is that what it's called?
Space Jam
Rishi, have you seen it?
Of course, I've seen it. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, you
so
guys have
excited.
seen it? I've not seen it
Yeah,
yet.
I've
Okay,
I'm
cool.
obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I think about it every day.
It's
Amazing.
something.
All right,
It's
good.
really
This is
something.
encouraging. I didn't think
It's
it was
very-
going to
it's
be
really- I know, I didn't
this
expect much,
reactionary,
but
let's do it. Dinkar, have you
Chalo.
seen it?
Not yet.
Okay, cool. So maybe we can do Space Jam. We can do In the Heights next week. Let's see how the cookie crumbles. All right. Thanks a lot, you nerds. See you next week.
Ooh, no, stop.
Okay.
I want to play a game. My sentiments towards Space Jam, we'll get to this next week. There is something I said, very poignant, very good point I made about Loki that is relevant to Space Jam as well.
Well,
What is
LeBron is
this
a Loki
point?
variant.
No, shut up. What is this point?
We'll find
You'll
out.
find out next week.
All right.
But you
good
guys have to
cliffhanger.
guess.
Same bad time,
See?
same bad
Oh,
channel.
we have to
See ya.
guess now.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm fine. I don't watch the movie. All right. Yalla. See you guys next week.